We're back at it again, ladies and gentlemen. Jubilee video reaction. Today we're looking at Patrick Bat David talking about capitalism with anti-capitalists. Now, this is unfortunate for me because I don't like Patrick Bat David, but I do think American capitalism is good, although it has its faults that need to be checked, such as obviously the 1%. So people who are anti-capitalist, I think is I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to see if I'll ever agree with them, but let's dive right into it, shall we? And all right, I don't know if I'm not going to react to the full thing. Incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it, and the system fails.
First claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm Valuetained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you really?
So, yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism.
Okay.
Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of scarcity, and people's ability to get what is necessary pushes them to work harder. I disagree with that. I'd say that some of our hardest workers are single moms working 3 to 4 jobs, and the resources that they're able to acquire compared to those that utilize their workers in order to build profit for their own companies is not equivalent.
Incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it, and the system fails. He's saying that incentive is not needed for capitalism. Well, that's not his argument. His argument is that it's the Kickstarter. It is what is needed for capitalism to be successful. Do I really care about this argument? Incentive is the engine of. I mean, that's correct. Incentive is the engine of capitalism. Let me see something that's a little bit more decisive that I might lifted more people out of poverty than any other system. This might be. There's no way you can argue against this one either. Compare this to other economic models, because I think people will try to compare it to Scandinavian country. A lot of people think those are socialist countries. They're not. They are capitalist countries. So he's correct here too. So there's really not a good argument here. If all the people in the world. Okay, this one might be an interesting one. Let's do this one.
My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb.
Yeah. So you just said
that. Could I show my blunt on camera? I was about to say, is he about to be like, man, you just gotta believe in the goodness of humanity, man. If you give them all the things that they need, then they'll use that good graces energy to create a cycle of love. Oh man. All right, let's hear him out.
You are proposing if we divided all the wealth equally in like 5 years. How would you propose we divide the wealth in that way? In this thought experiment, again, if we're going to give it a serious...
No, that's not the question. You're supposed to find a reason to disagree. When people immediately go talk about the logical foundation of how the procedure of the claim, it's just irrelevant because it's a hypothetical. Like, this is a hypothetical world. Everything would be magical. There's no realistic way to do what he's advocating for. So there's this line of questioning is pointless.
Look, I want to understand, how would you propose that happen?
I hope you realize this is just a question we're asking everybody, right? But if you take all the wealth, which is around $500 trillion, okay, give or take, you divide it by 8 billion people,
okay,
it would be around $62,500 each. Within 5 years, the people that don't know how to handle money themselves, they would lose it all. And within
all right, I didn't give my take on this. It would land in the same pockets of if we had the 1%, the majority of the 1%, they would all get their money back. Or for the most part, most of it back. There's going to be a section of the 1% that just has money, that is super incapable of building a business. They will fail. All right. So, okay, we got a sliver. I do think there is going to be a lot of people that are going to be newfound 100,000naires that will be created from it, because there are capable people in the system that do not have the ability to be capable because they don't have the opportunity of success. So, not even generally, a portion, sure. I do think you create a lot more wealth in more hands, though, because you have the ability. Those people now have the ability to compete in a competitive market. Because we understand that there is different qualifications, or there's different levels of opportunity costs, right? And there's, depending on your environment and who you grow up with, you could have a more fast track, higher threshold of like succeeding with opportunity compared to someone who grew up in a poor environment with no connections. So I don't agree with the claim that it would like, I don't agree with the total complete claim that he's making, but a portion of it is correct.
5 years, the same wealthy would get the same amount of money.
As someone who certainly doesn't make that much money, I'm willing to take that as a gamble just for fun.
Right,
I'll be
sure.
honest. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, okay, so you're just now claiming that people who don't have wealth don't know how to manage it. And that's fair because a lot
I don't know if this guy's gonna make any good points. We'll see.
of them have never had it before. So what do we do to basically ensure that people like myself who are currently, thank you to the United States, thank you to the state of California for giving me medical insurance to get blood work, for giving me food stamps so I can have food. I've applied to, I don't know how many hundreds of jobs. I can show you the receipts. I can show you the email confirmations. Like, I am trying my best to use my values with the freedom that we have
So
here.
if I give you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good, I think I could. The issue is, and again, you may say that this is a personal weakness, but like right now, substitute teaching, tutoring, trying to help in that way is making it so that I'm able to scratch by.
Yeah.
But without the supplemental.
I do. I respect tutoring and I respect teaching. Any job that helps like improve kids' lives, I think they deserve more compensation. Let me be very clear about that.
Income and the help from the society of people who make more money.
But
I'm going to not have enough food.
I want to address something which you made a point that I agree with. On why don't some people create wealth? In my family, when I was growing up, and I was telling this young lady over here, when my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store, we've never owned an insurance policy before. My parents, we've never owned a house before. I've never lived in an apartment with a swimming pool before. We've never had a 401k, stock, mutual fund, none of that stuff. I had no clue how money worked. So for me, when I got out of the Army with a 1.8 GPA, out of high school, I went straight to the Army because I didn't know how money works. If you look at our system today, in high school, we learn about a lot of different things. They don't teach us about taxes, finances, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. Colleges don't even teach a lot of that right now. So
Do you work
come
in
out.
a high school?
Did I work in high school?
Do you have experience like me, someone who's essentially on those front lines working in?
I've worked with many high school teachers and the directors of psychology to talk to the youth. Yes,
So
I have.
right now, I'm in a position where I have options, like you said. I do have some options, but they seem to be somewhat destructive and exploitative of me, of my peers. So I'm trying
I think
to
you're too selective for jobs right now. You don't have the ability to be selective at this stage.
Well, but the
If you
thing is,
really
I do
wanna make
because I'm
some-
instilled with a freedom that is maybe God universe given, and I don't actually have
Yeah.
to because of the system. Like you said, I don't have to play along with some corrupt game. So I gave
I
up
think
a
California is
career.
perfect for someone like you.
Well, thankfully,
Yeah, I think it
California
is.
agrees. But you mentioned earlier in a previous discussion that we have free speech; we can say what we want.
Right.
But the thing is, have you been punched on the train for how you look and how you share your ideas?
Do I look like an American to you? Do you see this nose?
No, I'm just
I'm
asking,
Middle
has-
Eastern. You know what's happened to this guy? You know what's happened to me when I was
This
discriminated all over the
feel
place?
like
conversation's so pointless. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
I'm glad y'all tripped over each other because I did too. How's it going?
What's
James.
your name? James.
So one of the things that you have stated is that
You got
we
a
have
Viking
options.
look.
Okay. So just to give you a little bit of my background, I come from a divorced family, and we lived below the poverty level from the time that I was born until now, frankly. So I'm one of those people that you're talking about that isn't pulling themselves up by their bootstraps enough, which like I didn't have boots to begin with. And like, I don't know if you've ever had boots, but like legs are load bearing
relate.
structures.
I relate.
And like you can't really pull up a boot when you're wearing it, you know? So where exactly am I failing when I am working 80 hours a week? I am taking the only jobs that will hire me. I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years, not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you think?
You tell me. You're a job creator.
But I don't know your resume. You know your life better than I do. Why do you think you have not gotten a call back on 477?
Because
a lot
I
of
do
people
not
get
have a degree.
callbacks. Okay.
Because I do not have a degree
I
because I
don't
could
either.
not afford one.
Okay.
I live in an area where the physical job market is very limiting.
Where do you live?
I live in rural Texas.
Okay.
So in that, like in the town that I grew up in, for instance, there are 8 jobs, period.
Does your family live there? Mom, dad, everybody's in that same city?
Everybody was at one point.
Okay.
Most of them are dead now.
Okay, sorry to hear.
It is what it is. It's poverty. We're kind of used to that on this side.
Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like the way you speak, like,
Why do you feel like you're a victim? When people have it hard, of course they're gonna feel some type of way, especially when a guy is going out of their way and saying, "Well, it's kind of your fault. You're not doing enough to be successful." I completely disagree with that notion. There are exceptional people that exist that is able to create success for themselves no matter their situation. Like I always say for myself that there's so many things I could have done that I would have guaranteed to be like 100,000, like six figures easily. I know all of that, but I don't consider myself the average person, right? I decided to do a job I wanted to do, and I still, I'm able to live pretty comfortably. Other people do not have the opportunity; they don't have the qualification. They're just, trying to just get by. And I don't want to sound like disrespectful, but they just don't have the opportunity. But very simple, they just don't have. They grow up in a poor background. Just because you're an exception, just because, and a lot of this is also like luck based. You meet the right people, you get the right book, like certain things. Not everybody does. So people, I think there's just a detachment. Just because I did it, there's an expectation that everybody could do it, and that's just not true. That's
you're the
ignorant.
victim where all this happened to you?
Because I exist and things happen to
Why do
you,
you see
and
yourself
as
as a
such,
victim?
things happen, and that's why I say that they happen
You're
to
a
me.
good-looking guy. Why do you
Thanks.
think you're a victim? Why do you think you're somebody that's got into a situation because it's not fair?
The
What happened to
good-looking
you?
guy is a way to bring down his guard to allow him to open up about his situation. I'm very curious to see what answer he's trying to look for, though. Oh my god, I got sacked.
Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be willing
100%.
to move there.
100%.
Okay. On your resume. On your resume.
It says
what,
that.
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider yourself a hard worker.
I mean, I feel like
You said
80 hours a week.
That's a
something
hard
like that.
worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview you and I give you a job? Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job.
See,
And
this
let's see
this doesn't solve the issues being given. You just have the ability to give someone a job. And this also plays into the luck factor. He had to come onto Jubilee to meet someone that could potentially give him this opportunity. Not everybody can come on a Jubilee. Patrick Bet-David is perfectly proving the point that I just made, that he doesn't understand the struggles because he was able to, fortunately, gain success based off whatever background he has. I don't know his background, but it's ignorant to think that people can be like you. That's impossible. That's like saying, "Oh yeah, people can be like LeBron James." It's stupid to think like that.
what you do 90 days later.
Okay, I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But
But
you
like,
see what just happened
regardless,
right there? Well,
Mike,
watch what you just did.
sure.
You just said you applied to 477 companies who's not gotten back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you.
See,
You said
you're
willing to
finding
move.
fault in no, this is not how this works. This is not how this works. You're basically saying no matter what, you have to agree to the job. That's like that's slavery mentality right there. No matter what, you don't think values matter? The fact that you only can get certain success if you capitulate, isn't that a problem too? Isn't that the issues that people are raising? That I have to live here to get this job. I have to immediately say yes to whoever gives me a job, and I have to listen and obey. That's not how it should be. Why don't we focus on the idea that we can get more high paying jobs in these more unfortunate areas? Why don't we focus on the idea that certain jobs that have a lot of value in society, like teaching, get better wages? Why is it, nah, you got to work for this bank or this company that does financial transactions? Only then are you allowed to make some serious wealth. You got to capitulate. You got to say yes no matter what. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm moving on to this conversation. Let's see if this one is better. Oh. One second. All right, we are back. Let's listen to someone else.
You're kind of misunderstanding what anti-capitalist ideals look like. I think we are just trying to advocate for basic rights for our people in this country and across the world, of course. But I don't think it's necessarily about equal wealth disparity around the world for most people that are
Okay, this doesn't seem like a great conversation either. All right, maybe this guy will be able to cook.
choose as a psychologist. You're choosing who gets to determine what my mental health looks like. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, so I think. All right, thanks for talking.
Thank you so much. Yes.
All right, wait, got a little heated.
To specialists, but would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may?
No,
you're not.
No,
So
you choose as a psychologist. You're choosing who gets to determine what my mental.
Maybe that was a funny conversation.
What's your name?
Seth.
Seth, good to meet you.
I think your claim kind of doesn't make any sense because it would not inherently be a capitalist society you're describing. Because I'm surprised nobody's really addressed this issue. We haven't even defined what socialism is. Capitalism is a system in which all businesses are funded by millionaires and billionaires, investor classes. If this society, everybody had the same amount of money, I don't really know how the money would be generated up and down. I don't know in this theoretical. It sounds more like an anarchy.
He's not creating a system with this hypothetical. He's proving the point in terms of how a society is run is through a more top-down structure. Do I necessarily agree with that? It's a give or take. I do think a top-down structure is how successful societies are run because most people do not have the capacity to be a chief, basically. Most people are Indians, right? But I do think it can be evened out much better than it is right now.
Society, which would make more sense.
We're using this as a hypothetical.
Yeah, so
I want to make sure I qualify that we're not.
It's just like people don't understand what a hypothetical is. Like, Jesus Christ, all these conversations suck. The U.S. is more socialist than capitalist today. I mean, if you call certain programs socialist, like, sure. I don't find any of these conversations interesting either. America has never been a meritocracy. Okay, this might be a good one. I think most of these conversations were probably terrible, but I don't know. Let's see. This might be a good one.
America has never been a meritocracy.
Okay. Tell me why.
So I think that when you see wealth disparity and the amount that it gives influences to certain individuals, specifically from a starting point, if we're looking at America like a race and someone is starting 2 inches from the finish line and somebody starting a mile back, we would not say that this is a judgment of their merit. We'd say that this is a system that allows those with the most influence to continue to be successful.
So is it about some of the people that got generational wealth have an advantage over others that didn't get it?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that that's a moral failure. I'm just saying when people claim that capitalism is a meritocracy, that's just factually inaccurate. And we shouldn't be allowed to lie here. Like we should try to be coming to a common consensus.
So capitalism is not a meritocracy.
No.
So you mean to tell me nobody here can go out there and win if they wanted to at the highest level?
No, I think that there's a probability.
You didn't address his point. His point was 100% right on the money. Capitalism, the idea that they try to frame capitalism as a meritocracy, as a means to get rid of so many different programs, is flawed because there is a disparity between capitalism, between the 1%, the people on the top, the chiefs, if you want to call them that, who have the opportunity to insinuate wealth and advantages for very specific people that are aligned with them or their family. So to say that it's a complete meritocracy is a incorrect statement. He's 100% spot on right here.
That people can have social mobility or increase our economic conditions, it does not mean that everybody is able to. Some people could be a billionaire in the circle.
If you're saying not everybody's able to, I fully agree. I can play baseball, but I'm probably not going to play Major League Baseball.
I can spend money on a lottery ticket. Doesn't mean I'm guaranteed to win the lottery.
I agree. So what's your point? I agree with you there.
So my point is that America is not a meritocracy. You said
there's two things. Anybody at what levels, you can have success. To me in life, there's 3 different types of people. You got overachievers, you got achievers, you got underachievers. Let me unpack this for a second. We got 10 minutes.
You can.
Overachiever, achiever, underachiever. Okay. You can find a guy in school. We all remember the kid in school that we're like, that kid's going to win in life. And he didn't. He was supposed to be an overachiever. He ended up being an underachiever. And there were kids in school that we looked at. We said, that guy's not going to do anything.
Okay, what is this point?
You got achievers, you got underachievers. Have success. To me in life, there's 3 different types of people. You got overachievers, you got achievers, you got underachievers. Let me unpack this for a second. We got 10 minutes.
You can.
Overachiever, achiever, underachiever. Okay. You can find a guy in school. We all remember the kid in school that we're like, that kid's going to win in life. And he didn't. He was supposed to be an overachiever. He ended up being an underachiever. And there were kids in school that we looked at. We said, that guy's not going to do anything with life. Dude, stay away from that guy. He ends up winning. He's an overachiever. So it's not about what you're, end up doing in your life. It's how close you reach to your capacity.
The winning that you're talking about.
What was the point of that hypothetical? What was the point of that analogy. I don't know if that's what we would call it. I don't get what he was trying to prove by that statement. Like, yes, people have the ability to either achieve their capacity. Sure, it's just some people have less of the chance to achieve that capacity than others because of their environment, their situation. That's the point he's making. So how are you supposed to achieve the merits that you are capable of achieving if you don't have the ability to utilize your skill set to its maximum capacity because of extraneous factors that is out of your control? That doesn't make sense.
Quote unquote is wealth accumulation.
Not necessarily wealth
It
accumulation.
is. That's exactly what you just said.
If you end up, I have friends that make $120,000 a year. They have a good life. They're happily married. Got two
I
kids.
don't care about your
and they
friends.
chose to go live in a place like Victorville. They chose to go live in a different place. But to me, that is winning. They're contributing to
I
society.
have a genuine question for you, Patrick.
Please.
Do you
Like his entire opinions just come from the people he knows and his experiences, and it's such a flawed metric. It just does not shape, it does not reflect the reality of most people. It just doesn't.
think that a nurse or a hedge fund manager offers more social utility?
This is documented. 14 years ago, I made a video talking about the 10 most honorable professions, and a hedge fund manager wasn't on that list, but a nurse was.
Wow.
I believe what nurses do, when my father's at the hospital and I see how they attend to him, you have no idea how much respect I have for nurses.
Right.
It's a tough job.
However, but I would say the hierarchy of what our society looks like does not prioritize that in the same way that you're saying
But there's
it
a
does.
difference. So there's a difference. Do I think a nurse is more important to the market than a basketball player? Yes. But the market wants to watch a basketball player play, so they pay Steph Curry $60
But we
million
both
a
agree
year.
that America's failing, right? Your last claim was about how America's socialist, and that's a bad thing.
So you recognize these things, but like I don't. This guy is doing a good job. Like there's no cohesion in what Patrick is saying. Like what is this principal point? Is his point if he understands that there's an issue in terms of value being placed on certain positions, and he realizes that is decided by the markets and consumers, which is a different conversation and a worthwhile conversation to have, then wouldn't you go out of your way to fix that problem of misguided value?
Assume that you're saying
do.
because of government intervention. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So you think capitalism can exist without government intervention?
I think you need law and order because there will be abuse if you don't have it. In our insurance company, when I was run the company, I had to make sure there was law and order in there. If you don't have certain compliance, abuse will come in. When abuse comes in, if it's a free for
Are
all,
part of those laws like labor laws?
that can also be abused. No, it's a fair question
Okay.
you're asking, but a part of that can also be abused. A lot of those guys go in with the right intentions. Then they become dividers and they pin the employer against the employee. So then that is the divide and conquer model is very effective.
I just want to break this down. Do you think that there are not mutually exclusive interests in owners and workers?
Do I think there's mutual interest with owners and workers?
Do you think that they
Owners
have a
bigger-
symbiotic relationship and when they're trying to achieve the same goal?
I like to give my employees equity because if you own equity in the company, you no longer are an employee. You treat it as if it's your own company. So I prefer.
If you like your employees owning equity, that is very socialist. So it's like that's why this guy is laughing, because that the principle behind socialism is owners owning the means of production, right? It's just like it seems like Patrick advocates for good stuff, but the way he acts upon it is misguided. It doesn't make sense on how he approaches his like political values if he believes these good things or these socialism is not. I would never say socialism is good. It's a terrible model to adopt. But like certain parts of socialism can be good. So it's like it's so confusing.
To give my employees equity, but it's my choice. I don't want the government forcing me to give them equity.
Which
I'll
is
give you a
fair.
story. Do you remember that story of a guy who said, I pay every single one of my employees $70,000 a year? What was this guy's name? I don't know if you remember this guy. This story went viral. Socialism, what a noble guy. Everybody retweeted it. The Bernies of the world. Phenomenal guy. I invited him on the podcast. He comes on the podcast. I said, so tell me about your noble cause that you pay everybody 70 grand a year. He says, well, I don't think anybody should make over 70 grand a year. You can live off of $70,000 a year. I said, perfect.
Right.
How many employees
Okay.
do you have? Let me make the point.
I
said,
hear
how
what
many
you're saying,
employees
but
do you
I don't
have?
think that this
Wait
is
a minute.
conducive to our
I
conversation.
said, how many employees do you have? He says 100. I said, how many of those 100 own a single share of your company? None of them do. Who does? I do. You're a socialist. claiming everybody should make that much money, but you're not giving equity?
I'm not endorsing this particular person. I'd love to look into this, and maybe I'll
What
watch
I'm trying to
the
tell you
interview
is
later.
there's
But
a
what
lot
I'm
of
trying to say,
contradictions
what I'm trying
in
to say,
socialism
yes.
when it comes
we
down
were
to
so
action.
close. There are
Yeah.
contradictions in the way that workers are trying to get as much wages as possible. That's just guaranteed. I want to get the maximum amount for the labor that I put into it. A owner wants to do the exact opposite. It's not that they want to pay people what they deserve. They want to pay people what they can get away with. That's just virtually true.
I agree to that. That is 100% not true. It's partially probably true. I know, like in reality, I never have like totality statements. Like I joke around. I am hyperbolic here and there, but he's correct, and that's why you can't call capitalism a meritocracy because it is flawed.
Yes, because what you say.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case.
No, you already agree that coercion exists in the system. You're just saying that socialism. You're saying that socialism is the government mandating others to do it. But you're saying that markets do the exact same thing. You just said that the market price determines.
Don't put words in my mouth. I like you. You're respectful. You're a nice guy. Don't put words in my mouth.
Did you not say that markets determine market rates?
I haven't. What I'm telling you is there will be abuse in business. And if there's a person
I'm going
like
to ask
that,
you the same question as soon as you're done, but continue.
there is abuse in business. Some people will take advantage of that. But the benefit of a free market capitalism is if I don't treat you fairly, you go work for him. If he doesn't treat you fairly, you go work for him. Eventually, if you bring enough value, guess who can't afford to lose you? I can't afford to lose you.
Do you
if
think
I can't afford
that
to lose you,
markets determine market
if
rates?
I can't afford to lose you, guess what I have to do to you?
Do you think that markets determine market rates?
You didn't answer my question. If I can't afford to lose you, guess what I do to you?
Do you know what a monopsony is?
Patrick is not engaging anymore. He's losing this conversation. He's losing this debate right here. I think this is the only guy, unless I missed someone that was probably good. Maybe I did. I don't know. It's just some of these are just like common sense.
So do you know the difference between a monopoly and a
I know
monopoly?
monopoly. Tell me about monopoly.
Okay, so a monopoly is a single seller who has rare competition within the selling of the distribution. That creates like inflated prices and that can hurt consumers. But a monopoly is one single buyer. So this is an employer. There are things called company towns. You brought up the example of Walmart outpricing small businesses.
Sure.
I think that's a fantastic example.
On the minimum wage side.
Right, of how there are large businesses that utilize their leverage and their influence and their capital in order to determine what those wages look like in a given particular place.
Sure.
So what I want to argue is minimum wages seem to stifle monopolies because they allow people to start at the same floor rate. You're saying that big businesses have an advantage when there's a minimum wage because they can pay more.
They do.
We are also
they
advocating for higher taxation rates and capital gains taxes on these businesses that are supposedly taking advantage of the system.
I think
wait. You can invest this in tax breaks for small businesses for people that have less employees. Maybe you say that less than 5 employees, they have certain tax incentives, so they're not taxed at the same rate as these large conglomerates. But that does not mean that a minimum wage is a bad idea because, like most people here said, you can't survive on less than $7 an hour in most places.
You know what's the great thing about business and numbers and data is every idea is getting exposed. During COVID, all the policies that came out from the leftist side.
Patrick is about to lose right when he says this bullshit out of his mouth. And this is why I don't like Patrick Bat David. Right after he says this bullshit, he is cooked. He's cooked. He's getting cooked. He's been getting cooked. This dude is doing his duty. Shout out him.
They're all getting exposed today.
Name two.
Within time, everybody realizes what works and what doesn't work.
Can you name those policies
when
besides just saying that they
states
failed?
who chose kids to stay home instead of going to school.
When is that a socialist policy?
That is a control because when a government is ran in a way that they're controlling.
That's not socialism, my friend.
Socialism is a form of control.
Socialism is a workers' control of their
Communism is the
own.
ultimate control.
No, socialism is workers' control of their own workplace.
Socialism is a form of control. Communism is the
He doesn't know what socialism is. All these people have all this money, all this like, lessons they want to teach people. And how are you going to advocate for capitalism? Don't even know what socialism is. I'm like, what are we doing here, bro?
See, you're using this rhetorical device as saying that capitalism equals freedom, socialism equals control.
I want to be respectful to you, and I've given you a couple of questions that you haven't answered yet.
I'll answer any question.
I want to go back to the question that I asked you.
The rhetorical strategy that you're using might be beneficial for a large media platform. It's not based in reality.
If you bring value to me, and you're so effective to my company, if you get to a point that I don't give you a good salary and I don't give you equity, what's going to happen to you most likely?
I'm going to try to start a union with my workplace, so that way we can collectively bargain on how to raise the floor.
That's
for all
one of the options. But guess typically what ends up happening?
What happens? They're busted.
You leave and you go to a different company, and they.
Are you saying the owners bust the union? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking union. You're talking about a different candidate.
What do you think about unions?
I think in some places they work. I told you earlier. In many cases, they're divisive.
We agree. You also mentioned Wealth of Nations. You like Adam Smith?
I think a lot of his ideas, yes.
Do you disagree, or do you also agree that landlords are parasites?
I don't agree. Landlords are parasites.
Adam Smith, even Wealth of Nations author, said that. He said that rent is.
I want to read that book. Just because someone says one thing doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. That's a little bit of a attempted like gotcha question, but it didn't really land.
you're cherry picking. I don't think landlords are parasites. I think in many cases, when you think about what's happening with New York right now, this is why I'm telling you guys, I hope all of us reunite in 4 years and we have a conversation, and I hope Mamdani wins. I am hoping Mamdani.
You can't help we reunite when you advocate for MAGA. Like, the fuck out of here, boy. What? Bro, why is Quentin Johnson killing me in Madden right now?
Mamdani wins because that case study is going to get opened up, and all of you guys are going to see it.
Can we both agree that corporate Democrats are a stain on this country?
Corporate
Democrats that utilize their leverage and utilize their influence to maximize their own private wealth is a bad thing that we should discourage?
I think if it's their choice. I don't think you and I get to tell them what to do and what not to do.
So you think that like insider trading should be allowed?
I'm not for insider trading
But you just said it's their choice.
No, if you're being
you can use your
specific,
influence.
If you're specific with insider trading, that's a different conversation.
I just think that all of these are examples of why capitalism is not a meritocracy, especially when you're saying politicians who utilize their influence to maximize their own wealth.
Could be right.
When you're talking about landlords who are profiting off of necessity for people, or you're talking about business owners who stifle unions for people that just want to collectively organize.
You could be right if the data was shown. I'll shake your hand, absolutely. I'm not trying to disrespect you. No,
thank you.
You've been very respectful. No. But for me to tell you this, everything here can be proven based on data.
Correct.
If your policies are so attractive, I'm going to come to you.
Empirical data shows that worker cooperatives are not only more sustainable to market collapses, but they also provide more of an actual attachment to the work that those workers have. The alienation of labor is absolutely making people hate their jobs. Why do you think most people watching probably don't like the workplace that they're in, but still agree that there's some problem in America, whether they're saying it's immigrants or whether they're saying it's billionaires? What the problem is in America is people don't feel an actual attachment to what they're producing in the world.
What do you think about Social Security? What do you think about what FDR did?
Wait, do you have nothing to say about those worker
because
cooperatives?
your point's been made. Go back to Social Security. This has been done with, right? If we have a couple minutes. What do you think about Social Security and how FDR came up with it?
Yeah, I think FDR, from most historians, are placed in the top.
This Patrick lost this. There's really not much for me to say. He got cooked. He got cooked. That's why he's being all respectful. Let's read some comments. I have an idea. Jubilee producer versus 20 anti-Jubilee watchers. You know, the people who complain about Jubilee are the same people watching Jubilee and then in the comments, like, just don't watch Jubilee if you hate it so much. Oh, you can't because you're a fucking idiot, internet moron who just complains and whines and cries like a little bitch on the internet all the fucking time. Like, I don't understand it. I think there was a lot of value to this conversation, especially when Patrick Bat David actually went up against someone who knew what he was talking about and got cooked. Alex Jones versus 20 Bohemian Grove attendees. Oh, goodness. Just because you talk over someone doesn't mean you're winning the argument. I agree. For 20 Karens and Kens, what? All these comments suck. I can't say ask question, but don't show enough respect to hear the response. Look exactly like you would expect. See, I mean, it sounds like a lot of people just didn't know what they were talking about and getting very emotional, which I would expect. That's why I literally fast forward to this conversation, which was good, and he cooked Patrick.